We hear so many things about all of these coaches needing to be trauma informed out there. Oh, he's not trauma informed. She's not trauma informed. She doesn't know how to talk about trauma. She doesn't understand trauma. Trauma, what actually is it, right? Let's get down to business, really. Let's actually be very direct and serious about this, because everybody throws the word trauma informed like it's the new buzzword. And you know what that simply has done? All that simply has done is separate the person who actually has a background or credentials versus the person who doesn't. Although the people who've actually experienced trauma and actually have moved through it actually have experience, even though they don't have a certificate of some sort or some kind of background. So their healing comes from living experientially rather than just book theory. Let's make that very clear. I want to make that very clear. So some people will use that word and throw it around, and they'll label everything. It's got to be trauma informed. We get all angry and upset if it's not trauma informed, right? And here's the deal. I'm Mario Leone, Voices of Victory channel. I am your host on this magic carpet ride. And guess what? Living experientially is probably bar none the most beautiful thing that you can do in this world. The most incredible thing ever. To live experientially, to actually move through your experiences, to move through things in a way that actually helps you heal, grow, and think differently about life. Here's the deal. Today's episode is what real trauma healing actually is. And I do want to share that if you want to grow with me on this channel, you can click the Patreon link below and we could have a wonderful conversation. You can click that link and you can support and grow with me here on this channel. So I want to make it very clear that when people talk about healing from trauma, it starts to sound like very abstract, very weird, very strange. People can be all over the map when they start to talk about it. Some people will put it in a science box. Some people will put it in a spiritual box. Some people will put it in all of these different boxes because the only way they could understand it is to slap a label on it and try to comprehend it, right? That's where it gets really mixed up at best. Here's the deal. We have to start looking at it in a different way. Because some people look at it like you're supposed to move on. You're supposed to just think differently. Everything will be okay. Or your head and heart actually have to connect. That's good. The head and the heart is a good start, but it actually needs more than that. If we're going to heal trauma, understanding that your thoughts and your feelings do have to shake hands at some point, but there's more to it because the trauma starts to go far deeper. Real trauma, real actual trauma healing is much simpler. And it's much more physical than most people realize. Now, a lot of people will try to put the different traumas in different boxes because that's their way that they actually have to categorize it. It's like, okay, we got to categorize it. It's this, it's PTSD, it's over here. If it's this, it's in this box. And if it's that, in that box. And what happens is we start to compartmentalize, not realizing that human beings are really a holistic big picture, a very big picture at the end of the day. And it doesn't mean, by the way, we can't separate the facts and understand the different domains of learning. That's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. But here's the deal. It is much more physical than most people realize. So I need to strip that down, and we're going to smack the bee's nest with a stick a little bit, because true, actual trauma healing is this. Your nervous system can actually remember what happened without actually being completely 100% overwhelmed by it. So you could say some of your traumas, while your head and the heart, if they do shake hands, that's a great start. But here's the deal. A lot of these things could actually be trapped inside the nervous system, like embedded. I don't want to use the word trapped, but embedded in the nervous system and even in the body itself. That's it. So trauma isn't just a memory. It's not just a memory that's stored like a normal memory in your mind. Because the brain doesn't just record experiences like a video camera. It stores them in pieces. You get a bit here, a piece there, a sound over there, a voice over there, a gunshot over there, a bodily sensation over there. You get bits, pieces, and fragments. And because of all that, the memory is not a fixed thing. It is constantly getting moved around and rebuilt every time you remember something. Every single time. Here's something very important. When you actually recall something, your brain has that natural tendency to totally fill in the blanks. Not because you're making stuff up. It's not that you're making things up. You're not self-gaslighting, because the brain is always trying to complete things. It's like having a sentence with a blank word in there, and you could fill it in with a million different things. It'll change, and every time it changes, the meaning changes. That's what happens. So you're understanding certain memories that are just incomplete pieces, and it's constantly organizing, and you are indeed updating and changing as you go. Your past is changing in your mind based on what you understand about it right now. Not just what originally happened, but based on what you understand about it. So over time, your understanding of an event can actually totally move in a different direction with new momentum, not because the core experience disappears in some way or feels false or becomes false, but because your mind is actively trying to put it all together, put the puzzle piece back together, and make full sense of an entire full sequence instead of all these disconnected little pieces that go on. And what tends to happen, we see this actually. We see this in the courtroom all the time. We got people who are witnesses or victims, and they cannot recall everything in the sequence in which it happened. Their brain and the representation of what had happened is different. So in trauma, it becomes more intense, much more intense, because the original experience you had was actually stored. It's stored with such a strong emotional aspect and nervous system messages that are going on that are all attached to it, which are, by the way, usually attached to the identity as well. So when the memory gets put back together in this wonderful puzzle, it doesn't just feel like one or two thoughts. It doesn't feel like 20 thoughts. It feels like it's happening all over again and happening in your body. That's why people say, I remember it one way emotionally, but now I understand it entirely different. Both are very true. Your emotional memory and how it gets updated from time to time and how that develops into understanding can actually exist at the same time, where we have that memory and understanding. They come together. They start to mix. They start to be understood. So the key idea is memory is not just a video file that's stored on your desktop of your computer or on your phone. It isn't just stored. Your brain is putting it back together every single time you access it. And every time it's put back together, it's influenced by your current state that you're actually in, whatever you're going through in the moment, not just the original event that you actually have. So what actually changes in the whole healing process? If we look to psychology, we look to neuroscience, both of them are actually pointing to one solid positive truth. Healing has nothing to do with erasing some of your memories or getting rid of them, but it is changing how the body is actually responding to what's going on in the mind. And over that time period, what actually starts to move in a different direction is the memory is still there. But our nervous system and all of the alarms that it kicks off from time to time, it doesn't react the same way. That's the good news. It doesn't constantly kick off like it used to. So instead of this is happening to me right now, your brain starts to look at it like this has happened to me before and I'm here now and I'm moving through it. So that is a momentum change. And that's the difference between being completely overwhelmed and being absolutely present and understanding what's going on inside your body and mind. Because when we start to go into the brain itself, and I'm not a neurosurgeon or neuroscientist, there are a few different systems involved in the brain. So when we have that amygdala part of the brain, the part that detects a lot of threats very quickly, and there's an animal in the woods, there's a threat. This is your brain's little alarm popping off whenever it needs to. We have that. That's one part. Then you have, of course, the hippocampus. The memories. All the memories in the corner of my mind. They store context, time, bits and pieces of experience. And then we have our thinking, good old prefrontal cortex. It's pretty awesome at the end of the day. What it actually does, the prefrontal cortex is amazing at stopping your impulses. That's what it's about. At the end of the day, it's about stopping your impulses. So it helps you completely stop, pause, and choose. If you are in your refrigerator and there's chocolate on one side and there's broccoli on the other, the prefrontal cortex will be the one to stop right before the chocolate and turn and reach the actual broccoli. It's that little tiny moment right there that the prefrontal cortex says, I'm going to hit veto. I'm going to override this. We're going to override that. We're going to choose broccoli. Now, in trauma, the amygdala, the alarm system of the brain, it becomes extremely sensitive. And healing is basically learning to work with that alarm system again. You start to look at the memories that are going on, and we bring some context back into the picture so they could actually heal. We need context added to that memory. Because remember that a lot of our memories can indeed be these sentences with a missing word. I want you to look at memories like that. They're the sentence with the missing word. They can be. Some people can have like complete recall. It does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't. But I think we need to look at the way we interpret that experience. And sometimes the interpretation could be having that missing word that's there. And that has to be filled in with something that's more healing and productive. It creates more understanding. We have to bring our prefrontal cortex back online, our thinking part of us back online. That part of us that controls the broccoli chocolate decision. That's what happened. We need that. That's what healing will do. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen all at once, but it can indeed happen over time, certainly. So every new experience that you actually have, if it feels safe, if there's a sense of safety, your nervous system starts to chill out, okay? When you understand that. So each new experience that you have, when it has safety as a part of it, it's teaching you something entirely different each and every time. So what healed actually looks like. When we're dealing with healing trauma and the response, it doesn't mean that you just suddenly forget what happened, okay? It doesn't mean that. It does mean that you're able to remember it and there's no emotional charge wrapped up by it. It also doesn't mean that it never affects you. It doesn't mean that at all. It does mean that you can remember it without actually being overwhelmed by it or overtaken by it. So you can still feel the emotion when you think about it, but your brain is not getting hijacked by it. You're present, totally present. You're in control of your body. You're in control of your actual choices. So the memory becomes something amazing that you can hold on to, but it's not something that holds on to you. It's not grasping at your life anymore. It's not squeezing you. Now, why time alone doesn't heal it? And people say, oh, time heals all trauma. A lot of people think that. That's nice. That's not fully true. Time only helps if your nervous system learns something new during that time. So we have that head and heart connection where the head and the heart have to shake hands, but we also got that nervous system going on. Whenever I mention nervous system, I want you to think of literally the spinal column and all of the bundles of nerves that just go across your entire body. And guess where it heads? It heads right into the brain. Heads right into the brain. So here's the deal. Without new experiences happening, if you don't experience things that bring up genuine safety inside you, if you don't bring up things that are giving you support or helping you emotionally regulate, your body is just going to keep reacting the same way that it did. It'll fall into its old ways, its old patterns that are going down. So healing does indeed involve safe experiences in the actual present. And you get new emotional changes going on based on the way that a person updates. That's the thing. When you work with a therapist, what they're doing is they're literally helping you update your memories, update your belief systems, helping to fill in that blank that's there. It's not the only thing. I mean, obviously, they have an arsenal of tools and they do plenty of other things, but that's the deal. It's all about those old nervous system messages going on. They used to tell you about danger. They're no longer there. They're not here anymore. And that right there, when the safe experiences are in the present and you get new emotional ideas from understanding it differently, or filling in that blank, and then the nervous system and the way that it actually repeats, when that's no longer there and you're much more calmer, that is what is slowly working you over and retraining your mind and your nervous system. So if we simplify everything, the true trauma healing is not about becoming someone new. It is about your body learning that the past is actually over. It's also understanding that memories are not entirely complete. And it's like a cement wall. And if it has a little crack in it, we have to fill that in. Now, what are we filling it in with? Understanding. We're helping those memories get updated to understand the situation in a different way. You don't lose the memory. You simply understand it in a different way. It's interesting because people use the word like enlightenment. Be enlightened. But you get enlightened with a piece of knowledge or information. But it's not just about that. It's also your heart feeling lighter. That's your heart, emotions, and your nervous system. So you don't lose your memory. You lose the overwhelm. You lose that nervous system being jacked up all the time. And that is where actual healing begins to happen, right in the present. And that's all I'm going to say. Now, if you want to support this channel and grow with me, click on the link below, the Patreon link. You can go there through the Podbean webpage. We can go there if you do need some career repatterning. In other words, if you're having trouble, you have patterns in your career or your job that's making you completely stuck, or it's keeping you in a job for 10 years and you're tired and you want to get out. Like they said in the movie Mad Max, you want to get the hell out of here, you talk to me. Have a great day. See you on the next episode.